Hugh Hefner, the famed magazine's founder, passed away in the Playboy mansion on Wednesday, with only that roof over his head to his credit. Almost immediately after the 91-year-old cultural icon passed away, rumors about who would receive his residual wealth started circulating. According to various sources, Hefner had a net worth of more than $45 million. However, a careful examination of financial documents and contracts shows a less glamorous fact. According to Fortune, Hugh Hefner's net worth was not particularly high at the time of his passing. So let's begin our video to know how he bought a picture of an unknown actress and made a fortune. Hefner, the person, and Playboy, the company, went hand in hand. Both promoted themselves as sexual revolution symbols, a break from priggishness in America and broader social prejudice. Over the years, both have been mocked as vulgar, juvenile, exploitative, and outdated. But from the moment he made his debut in early 1950s, Mr. Hefner was a stunning success. He timed things perfectly. Although Mr. Hefner was his own creation, he was compared to Walt Disney, Citizen Kane, and Jay Gatsby. He frequently compared his life to a love story in which an immortal sophisticate in silk pajamas and a smoking jacket hosted an endless party for fascinating and distinguished guests. Let's discuss who Hugh Marston is. Hugh Marston Hefner, a Methodist immigrant from Nebraska, was born in Chicago on April 9, 1926. His parents were Glenn and Grace Hefner. Years later, he continued to frequently emphasize that he had been up with a lot of repressions and that his father was related to William Bradford, the Puritan governor of the Plymouth colony. The elder Mr. Hefner agreed to serve as Playboy's treasurer and accountant, but neither parent changed their moral standards despite this. Glenn Hefner, who died in 1976, insisted he never glanced at the pictures in the magazine. In 1953, the first issue of Playboy was out, and Mr. Hefner was 27 years old, newlywed, and married to what he said was the first woman he had ever slept with. He had only recently quit working at Children's Activities magazine and moved out of his parents' home. However, in an editorial in Playboy's first issue, the youthful publisher offered a different perspective on life. "We like to prepare a few cocktails and hors d'oeuvres, play some mellow music on the phonograph, and invite a female friend over for a peaceful talk about jazz, Picasso, and Nietzsche." According to Todd Gitlin, a sociologist at Columbia University and the author of The 60s, this picture portrayed the premium boy style of the time. It's a part of a group that includes the James Bond films, John F. Kennedy swinging, and the person who is young, active, and unconcerned with the ties of social obligation. Both feminists and the keepers of the 1950s social order, including J. Edgar Hoover, detested Mr. Hefner. However, Playboy had 1 million copies in circulation by 1960, and in the 1970s, it peaked at nearly 7 million. It's anticipated that Hugh Hefner will be buried close to Marilyn Monroe. "Spending eternity next to Marilyn is too delicious to pass up," he said in an interview with the LA Times, so he purchased the crypt next to her. The first Playboy issue had Marilyn on both the cover and centerfold, although not by choice. She performed a nude photo shoot for $50 when she was a young actress with no money. Hefner paid a calendar company $500 for the rights to those pictures once she became famous. His media empire was established thanks to the success of that magazine. He and his brother took a plane to Armenia in August, the place of their ancestors. After the adventure, Azerbaijan filed a demand for Bilzerian's arrest, related to claims that he unlawfully procured grenades and demonstratively fired missile launchers at a shooting range. He has amassed almost 24.5 million followers on Instagram thanks to his high-flying lifestyle, where he flaunts his life with no remorse, despite accusations from detractors that he objectifies and takes advantage of the bikini-clad or less women who model for him. By publishing a picture of himself unwinding in a hot tub and employing a topless, slouched woman as a dinner table, he stirred considerable controversy in March 2017. "Be grateful because it's National Women's Day," he wrote. When he wrote in January, "This Me Too shit is going out of control, guys getting their life ruined by stroking a girl's back or hitting on someone," it undoubtedly didn't help the situation. Bilzerian's door policy, which states that if you arrive with ugly chicks you won't get in, I keep the parties exclusive and it becomes a matter of there being only so much space, must be followed by female guests if they want to attend his events. Nevertheless, some women will go to great lengths to party with him. How much money does Hefner make? Around £40 million was thought to be Hefner's net worth. His fortune is said to have been over £160 million in the past, but it took serious damage when Playboy's stock lost 80% of its value. Many people believe he was the owner of the renowned Playboy mansion. However, this is untrue. Darren Metropolis, who purchased the home for approximately £80 million in 2016, allowed Hefner to continue living there until his passing. The world's most popular men's magazine, Playboy, continued to be published long after other publishers made the nude Playmate centerfold appear more sweet than courageous. The business of Mr. Hefner expanded to produce movies, television shows, and digital content. It also offered its own apparel and jewelry brand and developed clubs, resorts, and casinos. Over time, the brand lost its luster, and the readership of its main magazine fell to less than 1 million. Even after approving the magazine's shocking and ultimately temporary decision to stop publishing nude photos in 2015, Mr. Hefner continued to serve as the editor-in-chief. In addition, he gave his son Cooper Hefner full creative control of Playboy in 2016. Scott Flanders, the CEO of Playboy Enterprises, agreed that the internet had encroached on the territory of the magazine. At a time when doctors forbade single women from getting contraception and the Hollywood production code mandated separate beds for married couples, Mr. Hefner started denouncing American Puritanism. According to early Playboy contributor and cartoonist Jules Pfeiffer, people donned tight little gray flannel suits and went to their tight little jobs in the 1950s. Mr. Pfeiffer remarked in the 1992 film Hugh Hefner Once Upon a Time that you couldn't talk politics. The obscene language was not permitted. Playboy was the start of a departure from everything like that. However, Mr. Hefner held a strong grudge against the sexual taboos of the day, which he claimed had stifled his own youth. As a result, he married his longtime partner despite being a virgin till the age of 22. Nearly 50 years later, Mr. Hefner stated in an interview that learning of her prior affair was the single most terrible experience of my life. His message was straightforward in the Playboy Philosophy, a collection of libertarian and libertine arguments that Mr. Hefner penned in 25 episodes beginning in 1962. Society was to blame. At the time, his causes, abortion rights, decriminalizing marijuana, and most importantly, repealing 19th century sex laws, were audacious. They would no longer stand out 10 years later. Although father and son came to an understanding, the senior Mr. Hefner took on the roles of Playboy's accountant and treasurer. Neither altered their moral standards. Glenn Hefner, who passed away in 1976, claimed he never looked at the magazine's images. On September 27, 2017, Hefner died at the Playboy Mansion from natural causes. The magazine's publisher paid tribute by referring to Hefner as the American legend who in 1953 introduced the world to Playboy magazine and turned the corporation into one of the most recognizable American worldwide brands in history. My father led an amazing and important life as a media and cultural pioneer and a prominent voice behind some of the most major social and cultural movements of our time in supporting free speech, civil rights, and sexual freedom, said his daughter, Cooper. That's all for today's video, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more updates. Thanks for watching.